Hey everyone, welcome to Capes and Lunatics Creator Corner. I'm excited. I've been waiting for this one for a while. It's just me, but that's because I have New York Times best-selling cartoonist and writer Hope Larson with me, the current writer of the Backgirl series. Hello, Hope.
Hi.
Got so much more to talk about, but I guess I'll start at the beginning.
Yeah, it's not going to play for the whole podcast.
Too long of an intro, but I wanted to ask. Well, I always start off with the with everyone. It's just when did you know you wanted to be a writer?
I think kind of always. I was one of those kids who was always writing and drawing as long as I can remember. And before I was actually able to write myself, I would dictate to my parents and they would write it down for me. And I would do little illustrations for my stories. So I think basically always.
Awesome. And was it the same? It says you're a cartoonist, so you're an artist as well. Was it this? Well, you said with everything.
Yeah.
Writing.
Yeah. I started out more on the art side. I'm pretty much self-taught as a writer. I went to art school and just studied your typical art school stuff: figure drawing, figure painting, 3D design, printmaking, just basic art school stuff, and no writing. And sort of fell into comics pretty much by accident. And have just over the years been sliding further and further onto the writing side of things because I enjoy it so much more.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask if you were a fan of comics for a long time or if you just recently discovered them, or.
Oh, no, I've been a fan of comics for a really long time. I really got into comics for the first time when I was about 7, 8 years old. And my family moved over to France for a year because my dad is a professor and he was on sabbatical and he was translating this book. So we moved over there, and my parents were willing to buy me a lot of comics because they're just more part of the culture in a mainstream way in Europe. So they were willing to buy me all these French comics because it helped with my French comprehension, my reading and stuff. So I got really into Asterix and Tintin, and they had My Little Pony comics then too. So I was into that. And then I pretty much just have been reading them ever since. I got really into manga in high school, and from manga I got into indie comics, really arty stuff like Dan Clowes and Chris Ware. And it's really just in the last couple of years that I've come over onto the superhero side of things.
Interesting. And then you're on Batgirl now, which I have a lot of questions about Batgirl. All right. Well, I guess the big overall question is, who is Barbara Gordon to you?
Well, I came onto the book right on the heels of the Batgirl of Burnside run. And that was really, although, I'd seen the movies and I'd seen the cartoon in the 90s, that was my first real exposure to that character as an adult. So, and I connected really strongly with her in that iteration. So I'm pretty much just trying to continue on with what was set up for me in that arc.
That's cool. And now I'm starting to put more the pieces together because you said you spent time overseas when you were a kid. And was that some of the inspiration for that first arc with Barbara traveling?
That actually, the inspiration for that arc was that my editors suggested that she go backpacking somewhere. And I was like, that's great. I've written a lot about travel, and I love writing stories that have a really strong sense of place. I also do pirate graphic novels with FSG and with Rebecca Mock, who's the artist. And those are very travel oriented. So it just felt like a natural way for me to come onto this book.
That's kind of why I like some of the not I like Batman, but I like, Nightwing and Batgirl, because it's easier for them to just pick up and travel rather than your Batman or your Superman, and it's more believable. It's just it's a fun adventure.
Well, yeah, they're more They're less connected to a specific city than like Batman is.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, it's easier to take them out of where they are.
And I mean, because they're more open to a lot of things, and I mean, Batman's just, I don't know, the origin,
his ways,
and everything is so focused on Gotham, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was reading over my issues, getting ready for this.
Cool.
My next big question: are we going to get like a maybe a miniseries, maybe a period piece? We're going to get a Fruit Bat miniseries.
I would love that. I don't know if that would ever happen, just because I don't have the power to make it happen. But how cool would that be? Like we definitely, like, my editors and I, Mark and Tay, talked about it in like a wouldn't that be amazing sort of way. But I don't know if it ever will happen. I hope somebody else uses her because I think she's a cool character.
Yeah, I mean, if she gets used, I'd rather see you write her. But I mean, yeah, that would be awesome. Because I was reading that and I was like, oh, man, I would love to see her like back in her prime, you know, kicking butt. And
yeah, for sure.
Laying down all the wisdom. But one of my favorite issues was issue 6, the one with Poison Ivy on the plane.
Oh, thank you. That's one of my favorites too.
It just, I was reading it again today and I was like, I remember when I first bought it, I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm like, it's like a mix of like an action movie, you know, like one of those ones, you know, on a plane. And then the big compliment for me, I don't know what it is about it, but for the first time I read it, I'm like, you know what? If you animated this could be an episode of Batman the Animated Series.
That would be amazing.
I love that series. So I'm just like, wow.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's like sort of always what I'm trying to capture, is just this sense of fun and like action, ideally. Mm-hmm.
Because like those like right now, those animated DC movies, they're only like 70 some minutes long. I mean, you could make that make that issue on
just like expand it a lot. Exactly. 70 minutes. But yeah, that would be rad. Get like multiple planes going in there.
Something, yeah. Maybe like another Rogue or something on there.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. And then after that comes the Son of the Penguin storyline. I love how you're mixing, or even like the new issue that just came out this week. It seems like you're taking like classic villains and adding new stuff. Like there's Penguin, he has a son, and then this week's issue it looks like the Mad Hatter, but it looks like there's a new villain spinning out of that.
Yes. It's exactly. Yeah. It's fun. It's like one of the things that is my favorite part of writing books like this is that there is all this history that you can sort of like reach back and pull something out and sort of like tweak it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I love stuff like that where I'm like, you know, it's like someone should have thought of this a while ago. And it's like, why didn't anyone think of that? Because it's like, of course, Oswald Cobblepot would be the one with like an illegitimate son. I love stuff like that. It's just like, why did I think of that, like, you know, 10 years ago or something?
Well, thank you.
But yeah, like I say, it's great stuff. The annual, the Batman, the Batgirl, Supergirl team up.
Thank you. That one was like super hard. I actually ended up having to rewrite a lot of it because we had to get notes from the TV show as well as the comic side of things. So it was just like so many notes coming from so many different directions, and it had to sort of like line up with all these different things. So initially it was going to be set at Arkham with Mr. Freeze as the villain. And at sort of the last minute, we had to change everything around and move it to a new location, actually like on the other side of the country. So and then come up with like a new Frost-based villain because I had all the mechanics of everything in place already. Mm-hmm. But it worked out. I'm actually really happy with. Sometimes it's good when you get those notes and you're like, like how am I going to do this? And it ends up being something cooler than what you would have written the first time around.
No, the story came out great, and I'm trying to remember. I might have even had that thought. It's like, why didn't she use Mr. Freeze? But yeah, now it's logical. Yeah.
I think somebody else was doing some kind of like Arkham heist thing, and we didn't know until we'd gotten pretty far into it.
Mm-hmm. So do you get like a lot more notes if there's like, you know, a TV show or something going on at the same time then?
Yes. If there's a TV show or if somebody else is using whatever character, then it has to line up with what they're doing. Or usually I just don't get permission and it has to be a different character. It's kind of like the fun of it is do I get to use this character or am I going to have to come up with somebody new?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the story was great. And like, I mean, I love the Supergirl book now, but would you ever be up for writing the Supergirl like main
Oh
series?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I love the character.
Yeah, the book is great. The shit, like you were saying, the show's great.
The show's so good.
Oh yeah,
They're both so good.
I have a friend, one of the co-hosts on this podcast, and he's like the biggest like Superman and Supergirl fan.
Cool.
But that's the other thing I was going to ask you. Besides like Batgirl, Supergirl, is there any other DC character you're like, I really want to, you know, work with another character?
I would love to do more Poison Ivy stuff. That's kind of like the number one thing on my wish list. I love her as a character. She's really interesting and she walks a cool line between she's such a sympathetic villain. It's hard not to feel for her, at least for me, and to like kind of see her point of view, even though she's not really a nice person. So that would be like the main one that I'd want to write again.
Well, they seem to like that team. They should give you a book with Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Harley Quinn. That seems
That'd be amazing.
That trio they're pushing lately.
Yeah, all the DC the female villains at DC are awesome. I love them all.
Oh yeah, especially those the bat villains. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but then speaking of the current issue, who is Barbara Gordon's ideal romantic partner? Someone established, someone new.
Like her ideal.
Who in your opinion, as the writer of Backgirl, who should she be with? Who should she end up long term?
Well, I mean, like the dream, in my opinion, is that eventually she does end up with Nightwing, but I just don't know if that's ever gonna totally work out between them. But you never know.
Good job, Pro. That was the correct.
I know it is. I'm trying not to like spoil my arc, but like you know how it is.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
I think you guys probably know where it's. You can probably already predict the sort of relationship mechanics that are going to be at play over this arc.
Yeah, and I'm always like, you know, it seems like they don't, you know, they won't let them get together long term. Like, even on the other side, I'm such a huge Nightwing fan. Everyone's like, you know, who should he be with? And I'm like, it's Barbara. I mean, yeah, Starfire's nice, but it's Barbara.
Yeah. I mean, they're like perpetually in their 20s now. So will they ever get to grow up and mature? I don't know.
Exactly. That's
Actually, is Nightwing in his 20s? He is, right?
I believe so,
okay.
Yes.
I mean, they're around the same age. I think somebody told me that Barbara is like 26. Maybe she's younger, 24. Gosh, I don't know.
Oh, is she? I thought after New 52 she was younger than that. Maybe. I mean,
she's in grad school, so she can't be that young.
Yeah, and I mean, her and Dick Grayson have to be kind of that age because you have all those younger Robins and.
Yeah. So let's just say they're in their mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
But we were talking about the other, you know, all the other media like TV shows and stuff, and they announced the Batgirl movie. All right, you're the current writer of Batgirl. What do you? Hey, if I had that on my resume, I'd say that every 2 seconds. But what would you like to see in the Batgirl movie? Like storyline, you know, any kind of storyline, characters.
I honestly, I want to be surprised. I'm so curious to see where that story is going to go and what material they're going to draw in for the movie, because assuming Joss is still attached after all of the brouhaha that's going on right now, I'm a big Joss fan, but
yes.
Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. when you think about it, the Burnside stuff fits tonally with his body of work really well. But I don't know that they're using that stuff. And I don't think that that run is dark enough to fit into the DC movies situation. Like, I want to know what the tone of the movie is going to be like. Is it going to be lighter? Is it going to be funny? Is it going to be darker?
Well, I think didn't they learn their lesson with, I mean, I don't think they're going to go as dark as they have been. I think Wonder Woman showed them that, you know, not everything has to be Batman dark.
Yeah. I don't know. I know nothing. Like, that's a completely different side of operations. I think they know better than to tell me anything that's going on because I'd probably just blab it, right?
Yeah. I've heard that from other people that, it's two separate things, but
I kind of like, I don't want to know because I know that I would end up spilling it by accident.
I mean, they kind of need to link it with that Nightwing movie and just like kind of make it like a 2-part thing and have them both running around both movies.
Yeah. I think inevitably that will happen. How could it not? It just doesn't make sense to do those 2 movies and not tie them together somehow. Exactly.
I thought, I don't know, there's so many rumors flying around. I'm like, aren't they talking about doing like their own little Bat universe in that cinematic universe? I don't know.
Are they? I don't even know. See, I don't like read that stuff because it's like, it's probably all just garbage anyway. No one really knows.
Well, yeah, I mean, they say something one day and then the next day it's just like, I'm just like, was that someone's wishful thinking?
Yeah, probably. I want to know the main thing I want to know is who they're going to cast for Batgirl.
Yes. Hey, whoever's making this movie, get Hope Larson. She knows the material. You could totally play the part. I mean, come on.
I want them to hire me as a consultant, and then they can fly me to LA, and I can get free lunch and airfare.
I don't understand why. I mean, DC and Marvel, I don't understand why they don't do that. And just like for any movie, it's just bring in all the past, the current writers, the past writers.
Do like a writer's room?
Yeah, just like, amazing. hey, throw out, even if they're just like, hey, throw us some ideas, maybe we'll run with them later on,
Yeah, I've been in rooms like that, not for DC stuff, but for a different property, and it was really fun. I would love to do that. They pay you well. You go sit in a conference room with a bunch of other amazing writers, and you like argue about stuff all day, and brainstorm and eat lunch, and that's it.
Oh, I love that because anyone else I've talked to has been like, yeah, they don't do that.
I don't know if DC does it, but
yeah, but I mean, I'm just happy someone somewhere does that because it makes sense. I mean, you're adapting all these storylines anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, we've been talking Batgirl so long. Tell us about some of your other work.
Sure. Yeah, I mostly write for kids and middle schoolers. So I've been working since 2005, I think, and I have like 10 graphic novels out, which is kind of crazy. So a couple of them are really arty early books. A couple of them are in a more YA space. And then after A Wrinkle in Time, the graphic novel, which is sort of like my best-selling thing, which is also for kids and not young adults or even middle schoolers. I started doing middle grade stuff, so for middle schoolers. And I have 2 books out that are middle grade. They're parts of a series. Compass South is the first one and Knife's Edge is the second one. And they're both Robert Louis Stevenson style throwback pirate adventure books, and they're a lot of fun. And Rebecca Mock is the artist. She's brilliant. She draws amazing. They're very like actiony. So if you're into like ships, swashbuckling, sword fighting, people running around through the jungle and like falling into quicksand and stuff like that, and pirate treasure, that's basically what's going on in those books. And I think they're a lot of fun.
But you said some of your books are for younger kids. I just asked because I have a 4-year-old.
Oh yeah. Wrinkle in Time would be the youngest one.
Okay, because I have a 4-year-old son and we like to sit and read sometimes. So
that's awesome. I think like 6 is usually when people start. My cat's coming to say hi.
Oh,
If you're watching the video feed, this is my cat. Yeah, usually around age 6 is when people start kids on Wrinkle in Time. I think it's like a little confusing if you're any younger than that, but he may want to. You said you have a son, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, he may want to just like look at the faces and stuff like that, the facial expressions.
Cool. So yeah.
Sorry, I have one more thing that I'm totally neglecting. I also have a series with Boom called Goldie Vance, which is a girl detective book, and it's all ages. I wrote the first 2 arcs, and those are out in trades, so you can check that out too. I don't currently write it, but it's a lot of fun.
Those all sound awesome.
Thank you.
Like, how do you have time to write Batgirl?
Well, I've sort of like cleared my slate of other stuff, and right now at the moment, Batgirl is the main thing that I'm working on. I'm sort of like trying to figure out what the next thing is going to be, and I have a bunch of pitches in, and we'll see. I have no idea what the next year is going to hold.
She doesn't leave that room. She doesn't leave that room. For people who can't see this, I mean, the drawing board's like just a few feet behind.
It is. It's back there.
But yeah, I think that's everything I had. Thank you so much. I know we've been trying to set this up for a while, and
yeah, I'm so sorry. I think I kind of like didn't reply to one of your tweets, and I felt really bad about it. But I was moving across the country in my defense, and things were crazy. So yeah, I'm glad it finally worked out.
Hey, you responded to me. There's people they never get back to me. So, and I think I saw you had like a hectic over the summer. Didn't you have like a hectic con schedule?
No, not really. I did a couple, and I'll be at Baltimore Comic-Con and at Staple in Austin. So if anybody is going to either of those, I will be there. And I think that's kind of it for cons for the end of the year for me.
Well, I mean, even just if you do a couple, there's all that travel, and it's like a whole weekend. And
yeah. But it's nice to get out and meet people and meet fans.
So you've had like good responses at cons? Yeah,
I mean, people are usually, in my experience, pretty nice to your face, at least, which is all I care about.
With the world these days, you never know. But no, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So what date is? You said Baltimore?
Baltimore, yeah. Baltimore is September 20-something. Staple is September 9th and 10th in Austin.
Come to Pittsburgh.
Is there a show?
They do a Steel City Con every, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. So yeah, they have something here every couple months.
Cool. Yeah. Well, hopefully I get the opportunity to. I'd love to. I've never been.
Because you're never doing anything else.
Well, I'm on the East Coast now, so I can like drive to East Coast shows, which is really exciting because out west it feels like everything is very, very far apart and inaccessible.
Yeah, that seems like the thing is like I think we're getting more East Coast shows because I swear half the time I'm on social media, it seems like all these shows are like West Coast. I'm like, oh, come on. All right, but as I said, I think that's all I had. Thank you so much. I'm glad we were finally able to get together and do this.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the run, since clearly you are my target audience for this thing.
I'm enjoying it. But would you like to let everyone know social media or just anything that they should keep their eyes out for?
Well, what is it? Issue Backgirl 14 came out last week. It's the start of a new arc. Should still be able to pick that up. That's the main thing. I'm really proud of this arc. I'm really, really proud of the work the whole team is doing. Everybody from Chris Wildgoose, who's the penciler, down to Darren Bennett, who's the letterer. Everybody's doing incredible work, and I'm just really excited for people to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend this to everyone. You could tell it's like a labor of love.
Yeah.
And she's talented. Go pick up Batgirl and all her other stuff.
Thank you.
The talented Hope Larson, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. So yes, thank you so much, and did all that, and I'm terrible. Thank you so much, Kit. And anytime you want to promote anything, let me know. You just drop me a line and I'll mention it. So
awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
See ya.
Have a good day. That's right, everyone. Great Hope Larson. If you're a creator and you would like to do an interview, or you know someone, or even if you're small, you don't have to be one from the big two, Marvel or DC, let me know. Like, do an interview. Email me personally, nightwingpd@gmail.com. Capes and Lunatics is capesandlunatics@gmail.com, and our voicemail is 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And once again, for the Capes and Lunatics Creator Corner, I am Phil Parrish. Come back next time.